Hello, everybody. It's Karen Legitimacy from New England New Moon Self-Development Center. I almost said New England Dyslexia Solutions, which is my other business. But I am so excited to be here today and talking about a really important subject, which is feeling unworthy and how that can affect our ability to unlock our inner badass. So I just wanted to wait a little bit to see if we can get some people on here. And so in the meantime, it is a beautiful snowy day here in New England. And it was a little bit chilly, so I decided to work from home in my cozy space in my home office. So I see that there are a couple people on. So if you could go ahead and just write in comments who's here, that would be fantastic. And today we are going to be talking about feeling unworthy and why that is such a huge block for so many of my clients in being able to unlock their inner badass. There are just so many layers that encompass all of this self-work that we're doing. And so sometimes I speak with clients who have this internal fire, this desire to do something really important with their life. They feel that they have a purpose. They feel like they have something that they want to share with the world. And when it all boils down, they're not taking the steps to actually make that happen. So in my coaching, a lot of times I will just be asking, okay, so what is holding you back? Hey, Tracy. Oh, well, hopefully you can stay on for as long as possible, but I totally get it. You have a conference call. That's cool. Just come back and watch the replay maybe if you have to get off. But yeah, so I am talking about feeling unworthy and how when we start to really want to come out of our shells and really get our inner badass to come out and be able to live our purpose, live our dream life. Hey, Crystal. A lot of times what can happen is that we end up talking ourselves out of our dreams. So I would say to my clients, what is holding you back? You have this amazing talent. You have this amazing dream. And so what's holding you back? And a typical exchange would be something like, everybody seems to have their life under control and mine is just such a mess. And, I'm so disorganized and, I would really love to do what, so-and-so is doing. But, I'm just really not as good as them, or I'm not as qualified as they are. I mean, they have a master's degree and they have all this extra training and, I just have some college courses under my belt. And then it kind of goes further down into, well, who am I to think that I could help anybody? Well, I don't even know what I'm talking about anyway. So if I start talking about it, then, they're just going to know that I'm fraud or whatever it is, and you can just start to see the shoulders going forward. And I don't know, what if people find out that I just really don't even have my life together at all? And so how can I help other people when my life isn't together? And I don't know, it's just sometimes it just feels easier to just stay in the same place because I know that that's what I'm good at, I guess. And so that's so unfortunate. And I do coach them to try to change that. But basically, as that conversation goes on, it's like you can just see the vibration lowering and the shoulders coming forward and just the self-confidence lowering and that light within just kind of being dulled. And it's so unfortunate because when you can actually get into that flow and tap into that inner badass, that is where your power is. So we tend to give our power away to other people, to the expectations or the conditioning that we've had throughout our lives. And I'm here to say that that is not necessary. We don't have to do that anymore. And ultimately, if you can take the time to start to observe what's happening, and that little voice that actually Elizabeth Moore, who is one of our newest members in the Badass group, she posted just today, I guess, about her stepping out and fulfilling a dream of hers and auditioning for The Voice. And that is just so amazing and so exciting. And she got so many comments and all these, feedback. Everybody's saying, oh my gosh, go for it. Yeah, as it should be. But it's also really interesting that, we're all here in this badass group, and it's so easy to, cheer someone else on and to be like, yes, you're awesome, you're great. And then when it comes down to our own badassery, we always will end up talking ourselves out of it, like, oh, no. Well, yes, that's not, that's good for them, but, I'm certainly not good enough for that. Hey, Pam, and hey, Anna. Hi, Crystal. I'm so glad to have you guys on. So for those of you who are on, little hand raise. Who is guilty of having that self-sabotage talk about yourself, right? So who here has ever had the feeling that, well, I'm not like everybody else, and I'm not worthy. Like, who am I? Who am I to be, auditioning for The Voice? Or who am I to start off this badass group, right? I mean, I can think of a million different personal experiences of things that felt totally outside of my comfort zone, and having me feeling like, well, yeah. And I'm going to take this group for an example, because it has been my passion, and I truly feel like it's been my life purpose, is to see the amazing badass light that is within people and really help people get to the root of why they're not letting that shine. And it can be across the board. There are so many different reasons. But here I am, I'm working with clients one-on-one, and I'm thinking, there are just so many people out there who are awesome. And I just, it's my life's purpose. It truly is my life's purpose. I know it is, to help people who are amazing come out of their shell. And so I'm thinking, how can I reach these people? And having had businesses in the past, these groups can be, hard to find people. So in my other business, it took me, 7 years to get 500 people in a group. And just since December 1st, we are super close to getting 700 people in this group. So that, to me, is total confirmation from Source that I'm on the right path and I'm doing the right thing. And I'm so excited that you guys are here for that. But so I want to try to give you guys some coaching tips and really just kind of talk a little bit about where that comes from. And so if you think about when you are first born into this world, right? We are all the same, right? We all have the same needs. We have that same source energy that just comes with us. But as we grow up, we're always getting all of this, we have cultural things that come in. We have conditioning that comes in from the media, from school, from what we're being taught. We have experiences that just kind of download and go into our identity. So when we're thinking about, feeling unworthy, well, what is that? That's actually it's basically like you're just comparing yourself to other people. But where I want to kind of switch this up a little bit, maybe change your perspective, is that what you're really comparing yourself against is somebody else's identity. It's your identity compared to their identity. And there's a difference because, yes, our identities can never be the same. Everyone has a totally unique identity. And that identity is based on all of your experiences, all of your conditioning. And so we can never be the same in that respect. But at source, we are all the same. So when you are comparing yourself to someone else, just know that that's your story about yourself compared to their story. And it can be really powerful when you get in there and understand that any kind of feeling of not being worthy, of having joy, of having happiness, of having love, of having abundance, of having the life that you really want is really just a belief within you. It's a comparison. It's something within your identity that is making you feel less than someone else. When in reality, that's not possible. You are the same. Everyone is the same. We are all of source. So I just wanted to kind of share a little funny conversation that I had with my son, Jake, who is amazing. And he is, he's very philosophical and very interesting to talk to. And he's also an environmental science major. So he has been learning a lot about psychology and a lot about just the human nature. And we were having a conversation kind of along these lines about, feeling different and stuff. And he said, well, Mom, we are mammals and we have an instinct that we're pack animals, basically. And so when you're in a pack, you don't want to be different because being different will separate you from the group. Well, I totally get that. And I'm like, yeah, that's totally true. And way back in the day, when we were, needing that pack in order to be able to survive, that was pretty helpful. But nowadays, we don't need that pack mentality. So it's almost like thinking about the instinctive reaction to want to be the same as everyone else and have the same story, but it's not possible to have the same story because really our stories are held within our identity. So the place where we can be pack mentality is that part of us that comes from source. So I hope that makes sense. Does that make sense? Can I get some confirmation or questions going on here? So let's see. I'm just going to check the comments here. Yay, Bethany's on. Anna, you rock. Let's see. Oh my, yeah, your shoulders went down. Okay, cool. Yes, you felt yourself getting small. And yeah, that's not a good feeling, is it? So let me just see what I have here. So, right, so I wanted to share also a couple examples of how decisions that I've made in the past where that little voice, crept in. Just as an example, swimming. So about, I guess it's been about 6 years ago, I decided that I was going to try to learn how to swim. And I thought I knew how to swim, but then when I got into the pool, I realized, oh my gosh, like swimming is way harder than I thought. And I could barely make it from one end of the pool to the next end. And the entire time I was training to learn how to swim, I had that voice in my head saying, this is ridiculous. You're not fit enough. You're not able. You have no stamina. You have, it was just like this constant battle against negative self-talk. But I kept at it, and I kept taking steps, and I kept saying, this is really what I want to do. I want to learn how to swim because it's such amazing exercise. I love the water, love how I feel when I am kind of surrounded by water. It's just this buffering feeling. As an empath, swimming is awesome. So, hey, Jessica, how are you? Yay, glad to see you on here. So it got to the point, anyway, I was swimming. So I'm talking about feeling unworthy, feeling like, oh, you're comparing yourself to other people and other people's experiences. And so one of my examples was that as a swimmer, I'm looking over to the lane next to me and I'm seeing this person just beautifully swimming and just it looks so easy for them. And here I am struggling and, out of breath. Well, fast forward about three months, I started to catch on and I was like, oh my gosh, this is great. Well, then I heard about this group called the Masters Swim Team. And I thought, oh, well, who am I to join such a group? They're all amazing. They've all been swimming for 20 years and this and that. So it took me a while to get up the courage to be able to even show my face at potentially trying out the Masters group. And once I finally made that step, and it was really scary, I met the most amazing people that are some of the closest friends that I have today. And so if I hadn't challenged that inner voice, that story that I was telling myself, that, oh, I'm not good enough, I'm not whatever, then I never would have met those people. And my life would be so different without them. And then one other thing I wanted to share, which is kind of inspired by Elizabeth's post about auditioning for The Voice, was that I guess it was last year, was watching Survivor, which I've been a fan of for many, many years. And I thought, I would love to be on Survivor. I would just love that. I feel like I could really kick butt, I would be the triple threat. And so I took that, yeah, woo. So I took that, badass light, and I created an audition tape, which I will actually share with you. It's really goofy and it's completely unprofessional as far as like having video editing and all that stuff. But it was super fun to do. And I know that I don't really have control over whether or not they choose to select me for Survivor, but just taking that step to do that was really cool. And it really just kind of solidified some courage within me that, like, well, why shouldn't I audition for Survivor? There are so many people out there that have. So what would make me different? Like, why can't I do that? And once you start thinking like that, it's like, well, yeah. And even if you're not as good as someone else, so if there's a Michael Phelps swimming in the lane next to me, well then sure, no way, I'm not going to be as good as he is, but who cares? I'm still swimming, I'm still in the pool and having fun, right? So it's just, it's everyone has their life, right? So if you're comparing your life against somebody else's, it just doesn't make sense. You're holding yourself back for really no reason, right? Because they're living their life, you have to live yours. And so allowing someone else's standards or someone else's abilities or someone else's thoughts of what's good or someone else's thoughts about what is important becoming yours is not going to serve you. So really trying to tap in to your thoughts. What do you think about yourself? And if you have that inner badass, that inner fire, and you want to live your purpose, then by golly, you got to do it, because what is the choice? What's the choice here? You either decide that, you're going to lower your vibration. You're going to, let that inner voice talk you out of your dream. What? And also it's just that it's self-imposed, right? Like nobody else is going to live your dream for you. And so if you have that inner voice and you're stuck hearing, I'm not good enough, then you're the one that's really at the core root of the problem. So listening to your heart, so important. Tapping into that source part of you, right? So I have a little exercise, and it's just really quick, but it's something that you can maybe put in your back pocket and think about the next time you hear that little voice that's saying, oh man, maybe I just better not even do it because I can't do it, right? So I want you to think about a young child, maybe a 5 or 6 year old, let's say, and think about this amazing little person, this little soul who is living in poverty and is not getting maybe the love and support that he or she needs in order to really be feeling great, right? Now, as where you are right now, would you ever think that that little soul is not worthy of love? So let's get some interaction here, right? So write down what you think here. Would you ever feel that that little soul does not deserve to have or is unworthy of having delicious food, an amazing, comfortable bed, a beautiful life with dreams and goals, right? Would you ever try to talk that little soul out of going for it? Would you ever in a million years do that? Right? So if you wouldn't do that to this beautiful, amazing soul who maybe doesn't believe in him or herself, why are you doing it to yourself? Like, would you do it to your younger self? So now if we go back and say, let's have you go back and imagine yourself as a little person and where you want to be. What do you want to show that person that's possible in life? And so if you wouldn't do it, if you wouldn't talk someone else out of their dream, or you wouldn't talk a little child out of their dream, or you wouldn't believe that that person was unworthy of trying to make a better life for themselves, then you've got to allow yourself the same compassion, the same empathy that you have for that person, that little soul, is what you need to be giving yourself. Because if you're not, you are blocking yourself from an amazing life. And you're blocking yourself from the ability to live your purpose. And we all have struggles, and we all have insecurities, and we all have those feelings of like, man, it's so easy for them and it's hard for me. Well, what made that easy for them, right? A lot of it is doing the work. You got to do the work. You have to, there's nobody out there that is where they are just by poof, a magic wand, right? So I've had people say, Karen, man, you're on fire. I wish I could do what you're doing, whatever. I'm like, there's nothing stopping you from doing what I'm doing. The thing that makes it a little that I'm doing is I'm walking my talk. I'm living these self-development tools. I am living what I do, my purpose. So anybody can do it. Anybody can do it. You just have to start to become aware of what stories you're telling yourself that are holding you back. And so with that being said, does anybody have any questions? And yes, Ayana, this is very personal. It's personal for everyone. And we all have insecurities. So it's, in that case, we are all the same, right? So does anybody have any questions or anything to add to this conversation? Because it is so critical that we all are in this together and that we start to look at the amazing feedback that we're giving everybody else, the amazing support, and start to turn that inward as well. It doesn't mean that you don't support other people, but that you also turn that inward and you allow that for yourself so that you can live your purpose and you can achieve your dreams and you can move forward in this life and participate fully within it with just like, yeah, we're gonna make mistakes, we're gonna fall down, but you know what? That's where we can start to pick ourselves up and grow and learn. So, oh, great. Ayana, yes. So what causes that block? So I've talked a lot about identity, and that's something that I will continue to talk about because I think it is something that is so, it's something that people don't really understand. And basically it's that part of you that is your internal operating system. It's like that computer system that's in the background running constantly. And it is recording everything that happens to us all the time, every minute of every day that we're conscious. And when we are storing experiences and storing information in there and we're not conscious about what is going in or what is there, our identity is kicking in and reacting to things in the environment. So let's just say you had an exchange early on in life where, you know, you really felt that someone was so much better than you. And so you tried, and maybe that you tried something that they did and it didn't work out the way you expected and it wasn't easy and you just said, oh, forget it, I can't, or somebody made fun of you or something like that. And that just stored really deeply within you. And then the next time you had an experience that was similar, it's almost like that internal operating system is like, oh, okay, yep, this is what happened before. So, you know, this is, I'm gonna, it basically reinforces is what I'm trying to say. So you have another experience that reinforces the first experience, and it becomes this very deeply embedded belief. Is this making sense? So Ayana, is this making sense? So, and as our beliefs just kind of like, they're like code within us. And so it can be really, really hard to figure out what that is. But ultimately, anytime you're having a feeling of being unworthy, of being less than, of separation, it is usually caused by a core belief that is stored deep within your identity. So does that make sense? Okay, yes, great. So it's really just reactive. And if you're not aware of what the core belief is, then it will just keep coming up over and over and over again. So this is where my passion comes in. This is where my work comes in, because we really have to get, first of all, connected with identity so that we can become aware of what our internal operating system is actually doing, right? What is it telling us? What are our stories? And challenging that and saying, you know what, that story may have been, important for me or us, right? If you want to include identity as an us. But it's not serving that belief, that feeling that is no longer serving my highest good. It's almost like you need the inner badass to step in and be like, identity, no. This is not happening anymore, right? I'm taking control. I'm taking the wheel here. And And with some work, with some deep self-work, it can be a pretty simple process. It's just a matter of getting to the root, figuring out where that belief is, and kind of releasing that belief, and then replacing it with a belief that serves you better. And it can be that simple. It's just a matter of doing the work. So that being said, the reason why I'm here and on this created this whole badass group is so that I can try to help many people as humanly possible to really start to look at that and start to unlock that badass, because the badass part of you knows your purpose, and you have a purpose. And no matter what that is, no matter what the purpose is, it's almost like it's our job to bring it to the world. You know, you could be an accountant. And that is your purpose, right? And you're just stinking awesome at it. And you can help people like me, help, who have no clue what to do with accounting, right? Does that make sense? So, doesn't matter what your purpose is, but if you have that purpose and you're like, oh, well, you know, I can't do it because I don't have enough money. I can't start a business because, you know, blah, blah, blah. You know, all of these excuses, and basically it all ends up boiling down to the fact that you're not worthy of having your dream come true. Then, you know, the world is missing out on an awesome accountant. Does that make sense? So we all have that purpose. And so tapping into that badass, tapping into that and having that be your guide rather than your identity. That's always going to be the one that's coming in and saying, you know, well, there's a reason, you know, here's an excuse over here. Like, it didn't work before. Oh, no. So we have to just constantly be aware of what we're thinking about, what we are believing, and questioning that. So this group is here to help you with that, and we're here to help each other. But if you are like really dying to unlock your badass and, you know, are like sick and tired of just holding it back and not being able to figure out why and where it's coming from, then please PM me, because we can have a conversation about what's been going on and see if maybe this fast track program that I've developed might be helpful for you. So I am so excited to be my goal is to get to 1,000 badasses by the end of the month. So if you have any people that you know that have that internal fire, who are awesome, but just maybe not quite showing it or living it, then please feel free to add them to this group, and we can have so much fun. But in the meantime, please feel free to PM me, and we can set up a time to talk and really get your badass unlocked, because that is my goal. So does anybody else have any questions or anything before we sign off? And thank you so much for being here. Oh, yeah, Anna, I love my badass side. Yes, I know. Isn't it awesome? And when you can tap into that, you just feel great. You're in the flow, like your vibration is high, your shoulders are back, you're confident. You're like, woo! So, yes, that is the place to be, right? All right, thanks, Crystal. Right back at you, Crystal. You rock too. So anyway, I guess I'm going to say goodbye for now. And if you have any other comments, or if you're catching this on the replay, feel free to chime in, and I will answer any questions that you have, or would love your comments and your participation in this group. So thank you so much, and let your badass shine. Bye.